All right, let's get to our first discussion now. Abducted students of the Zamfara State College of Arts and Science are still in captivity. In a video released recently by their captors, the students are seen crying out for help. The bandits were seen pointing guns and threatening the female students to call on State Governor Dauda Lawal to come to their rescue. The armed bandits, according to the victims, are threatening to give them up for marriage in 1 week if nothing fast is done. The 4 female students were abducted in January 2023 along Benin Magaji Kaura Namoda Road in northern Zamfara while returning from a wedding ceremony. The bandits are demanding 12 million naira ransom for their release. That's the crux of our discussion. And joining us via Zoom from Switzerland is Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, retired, a security consultant and security sector reform expert. Group Captain, it's good to have you join us this morning. Thanks for speaking to us on this program. Now, Nigerians are really concerned when we have this abductors, abduct students, especially female students, or even any student for that matter, and for weeks and for months running, it seems it's challenging to be able to rescue the students. Can you share with us how challenging the terrain in those areas are, that for more than close to 6 months now, the students have been held there and nothing has been done, and they're still there? Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, can you hear me? All right. Group Captain, if you can hear me, I was asking that the students in Zamfara have been there, been held for about 6 months now. Share with us how challenging the terrain there is, that is still difficult for security agents to rescue them.
Good morning.
Okay, go ahead now. I can hear you.
Good morning.
If you can hear me, I was asking that the students have been held for 6 months now, and share with us how difficult the terrain there is, that it makes it difficult for security agents to rescue them after 6 months.
Allah dan daraja annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, wallahi ba mu da gata yanzu kai muka hari dan Allah, dan girma Allah, baba na abu ba mama ba ya abu ya mama na mana.
Right, it's a very traumatic sight to even see, not even talking about being the person that a gun is being pointed at. Young students, anybody that a gun is pointed at you, you know that there's a live ammunition in that gun, not a toy gun. One can only imagine the trauma that can cause anyone. Some people might never forget that experience or even recover from the shock for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
You can see the video. This sent a troubling feeling across the world, because we saw a reaction of people, after seeing this video. And the point there is security agents not being able to rescue the students after 6 months. It's a very troubling one.
Absolutely. This is something that the previous administration actually left over for the current administration, the current governor who is there now. The students are really wondering, why is it that we have not been able to, why have you not been able to secure a release from these captors? In a country where we have security agencies, where we have government, I'm not sure whether these people are ghosts. They should be able to, fish them out. They should be able to, deal decisively, with them and bring this thing to a standstill. You said pointing gun, at someone when you know that there's live ammunition. If you go to abattoir, there are some cattle where when they know they are going to die, you see them shedding tears. That's animals who can talk, let alone human beings. They only can tell, or they are not even able to tell the kind of thoughts that be rioting in their head, because this is them between life and death. And what they are seeing, basically, that is paramount right in front of their vision is death. Nobody wants to die. No matter how difficult the country is, human beings want to live. So I'm not sure how long this is going to linger on for.
All right, we understand that Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, retired, is back now with us. Group Captain, it's good to have you join us. We're having challenge with the connection signals earlier on, but I understand you can hear us now, so welcome back on. I was asked, the first question I was asking earlier is that it's been 6 months that these students were captured. Nigerians are so concerned, talking about how challenging for security agents to rescue these people. Is it the terrain that is so difficult to navigate, or there are some other issues?
Thank you very much. First to say, I really, as a parent myself, I sympathize with the parents of these children that have been staying with these bandits for 6 months, not in another country, but inside Nigeria. Maybe precisely we can say between the areas of Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Katsina. They have to be around there. So you mentioned the issue of terrain. What does it take first if we are to save these girls or to rescue them? Two things. The first thing is geolocalization, localizing where the bandits are. So if we have not been able to do it 6 months, then we have to ask, maybe despite the talk on using technology, maybe we do not have the means, and we must accept that and work on our security agencies. We do not have a high capacity for geolocalization. You have to know where they are first before you think of securing them. Now, if at all we geolocalize them, of course, there will be issues of collateral damage, which we have to consider. But then the most important after geolocalization is also access to that place. And I underline access because you spoke of terrain. The difficulty of that terrain, the inaccessibility by the means that are available to our forces is one of the critical factors that emboldens the bandits. Over the years, they have come to know that unless when they come out into urban or semi-urban areas to fight, that is the only place that our security forces have the opportunity to hit them. But they know from past practice that once they withdraw into the hinterlands, into the Kamuku forest, into the Urugu forest, and all those forests that connect northwest Nigeria up to the Niger Republic, they have this knowledge, they have this certainty that once they withdraw inside, they will not be able to be touched by our security forces. So certainly for 6 months, for them to be hiding inside our territory, these are the two areas we have to ask ourselves: geolocalization and ability to reach where they are.
So how do you think this really might be done? Because now with the appointment of new service chiefs, it's been said that there are new sheriffs in town. Do you think it would be easy, because the current service chiefs have been part of the security architecture in this country? Are you looking forward to seeing something differently as to, one, putting paid to the ravaging insecurity issues we are experiencing across the country, and then salvaging the souls of these abducted students?
Well, individually and collectively, like I said elsewhere, the service chiefs within their security range, they are some of the best you can find in the Nigerian armed forces. And each and one of them has come with a reputation for delivery, in security operation. So again, I'm not surprised that from reports I've had in the last 2-3 days, we've been having some action and some movement in Kaduna area. But a lot more needs to be done. A lot more in terms of resources. And when I talk of resources, people talk about technology. Yes, technology might allow you to geolocalize where these people are. But there is no technology that will enter into the bush and capture the bandit for you. The only means of doing that is boots on the ground. We have to dominate this forest where these bandits believe, because
Carry on.
Go ahead, we can hear
Okay,
you.
the thickness of the forest. The thickness of the forest is what gives the bandit the advantage. Like I said, they know during rainy season, with seasonal rivers, in thick forest, once they enter there, they are safe. So our own security forces have to find a way of inserting troops deep into those recesses, deep just into enclaves where the bandits feel they are untouched. Unless we do that, we'll continue to have bandits, holding people to ransom, exchanging videos, exchanging telephone messages, telling us that we must pay for our children, for our wives, and for our kids and kids that are being kidnapped by these people. So this, the security bosses, the top brass of the military selected, they have the quality, they have the reputation behind them, but they must work in a concerted effort, and the government must acknowledge, we must acknowledge that the mobility assets that are available to our troops now probably are not the kinds that will make them to enter and penetrate into those forests. You can use trucks, helix boxes, but that is only on a motorable road. You can use helix to enter into this forest where they are. So what I am thinking, the armed forces should think of insertion operations where they will insert. And insertion, it means you have to have special forces in large numbers. You have to have mobility assets that will go and drop helicopters or some other troop carrying, aircraft that can carry them down. Because, like I said, the strength of the bandit is in hiding in the forest where they cannot be touched. And unless we are able to access them, unless that they know 24/7 during rainy season, during dry season, during night or day, our troops can reach them. That is the only way we can stop this banditry. They have to know that the risk of being captured or the risk of being killed is very high. Unfortunately, right now, they think the risk is not that high. So they can continue capturing people and sending messages and demanding for ransoms and levying farmers for them to till their land.
Yeah, talking about ransom, they're demanding for about 12 million naira, to have these students released. Now, the controversy around the issue of ransom is there, where some people have argued that when you pay ransom, you empower the security, the bandits, for them to acquire different things that they want to acquire, and then you empower them, to do more. Others have said, well, when you don't pay ransom, you starve them of the funds. But if parents and others who are desperate to have their loved ones back would do whatever they have to do to secure their loved ones. So where should we look at, or how should we look at this issue of ransom being paid to these bandits, especially when the security agents are not able to go head on to rescue these students or rescue these children anytime as the case may be?
In mathematics, there's what you call direct proportion. When two variables are indirectly proportional. For example, the propensity for people to pay ransom to rescue their children is directly proportional to the capacity of the security forces to rescue children. What do I mean? If the capacity to rescue children goes down, maybe it's an inverse proportion, the propensity for people to pay and get their loved ones will go up. Conversely, when the capacity of our troops to access these bandits and rescue our children goes up, people will stop paying ransom and it will go down. And all over the world, unfortunately, the issue of ransom, there is no country in the world that has found an ideal and one bullet situation about to pay or not to pay. On the other hand, it is ideal that people do not pay because, like the reasons you said, these people are in for the money they are going to get. As long as money is not going, that might discourage them. But at the same time, when people are seeing their children being held for 6 months without being rescued, they are hearing of people that have been killed. They are hearing of girls that have been married off and made pregnant. To be honest with you, anybody that has money now will be tempted to go and pay if he can afford it. But unfortunately, again, we're talking of the Northwest region, one of the regions with the lowest, with the highest poverty rates. So you can imagine what it takes to raise those millions of naira that these people are asking for. So the only thing that will stop, paying of ransom is if we see capacity of our security forces to rescue or to stop even before the attacks are launched of these bandits. But as long as the bandits go, to be honest with you, there are parents that will pay. That's why if you remember the attempt by the National Assembly, which was attempt made by other assemblies all over the world to outlaw payment of ransom, is going to be very controversial. If I have a daughter and I hear one girl has been made pregnant, somebody has married her off, and I have money to pay for her release after 6 months of inactivity, certainly I will forward such money. So this is the issue. It's a chicken and egg problem. One thing leads to another. It's the lack of capacity to apprehend and rescue these girls that makes people to resort to self-help. What is self-help? Let me go and meet these people. It's not only ransom. In fact, some funny things we're hearing in Zamfara, there are even cases of people having problems with their wives, and then they will employ a bandit. There was a man in Zamfara whose wife left, and then he employed bandit to go and threaten the in-laws that unless they bring their daughter back, the bandits are going to kidnap her. So these are the issues. The civilly a lack of ability of the government to protect the people is what is making people to pay the ransoms.
That's amazing. That's another, interesting turn. People getting involved in this, banditry, because they are not ghosts from the universe and from outside of Nigeria. But the truth of the matter is, previous administrations have been talking about granting them amnesty, and some others are saying no, amnesty is not the way. You talked about paying ransom, and you said that will also help to finance them in their evil ways. Others have also brought up the issue of mercenaries. Do you feel if the government employ the service of mercenaries, we might deal decisively with these security issues?
Well, you see, as an expert on security issues, I view this issue of mercenaries. I would rather like to call them private military contractors, which is the better name. Mercenary already, when you call mercenary, you are already putting a negative tag and you are closing those for looking at options. My own recommendation is for the security agencies to have an honest discussion with the political masters. Do we have currently what it takes? I have talked of access. I have talked of boots on the ground. Do we have the capacity to really move into those mountains and drop our soldiers there? An honest conversation. I am not here to answer the question. If the answer is yes, then we should do that. If the answer is no, then the government may consider the use of private military contractors. Now, when you say private military contractors, the use of private military contractors is you plug a gap, a weakness where you have. It's not that we don't have armed forces. It's not that we don't have police. It's not that we don't have VSS. But certainly we are not the American United States Armed Forces. We are not the British State Armed Forces. We are not the French Armed Forces. What I mean, our capacity has its own limit. Where our limit ends, sometimes you can use these private military contractors to supply what you don't have. When President Jonathan brought mercenaries to fight in the north, private military contractors to fight in the northeast, it's not as if our officers and men took a backseat and went back to mess and allowed the mercenaries to fight. No, they do an assessment. Where is it that is giving us difficulty, where our current capacity cannot do? And then the mercenaries will go there. It is our own armed forces that directed them where to go. The same thing with this capacity. I have identified the capacity to geolocalize and to drop troops where those people are. Unfortunately, we do not have that capacity. If that is so, we may look for an assistance on where our troops can be helped with that geolocalization and actual dropping of troops where those people are. I continue to say that the center of gravity, that is the greatest strength of the bandits, is the knowledge that once I enter certain parts of the forest, the armed forces or the police or the DSS cannot reach me. Unless we break that center of gravity, we are not going to go ahead, and banditry is going to continue. With regards to amnesty, again, the amnesty, we should not be looking amnesty in terms of what was granted to repentant Boko Harams or what was done in the Niger Delta. These people in the Northwest are not in it for any altruistic motive. They are not in it protecting any segment of society or for oil exploitation or damage of environment. No, they are simply in it for criminality and for getting money. You cannot do amnesty with these people. You cannot do negotiation with over 120 different gangs, with different leaders, numbering over 30,000. Are you going to do amnesty for Adamu Aleri Nkuzo, who killed 52 people in June 2020 just because his son was arrested by the security agencies? Are you going to do amnesty for Kachala Turji, who in July 2021, attacked 6 villages and killed 42 people and burned 313 houses because his father was arrested? These are criminals, and the only thing that can stop them is to show them that crime does not pay. and to raise the capacity and the probability of our security forces to stop them or arrest them or kill them. That is the only thing that can work, but not amnesty. And even when people talk of amnesty, you know, they mistake the amnesty granted by international humanitarian law in non-international armed conflict that is based either on ideological difference, political difference, or doctrinal or dogmatic difference. These are criminals. You don't do amnesty for criminals, because amnesty for a criminal for somebody who stole somebody's daughter, impregnated her, who burnt houses, who burnt villages, I think you are encouraging crime. And the government will look very weak if it does so.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to see from that perspective. Now, let's look at the issue of the doctrine of the military in Nigeria. It is said that when it comes to conventional war, Nigeria is one of the top militaries on the African continent. But there have also been the argument that Nigeria security agencies are not necessarily trained for guerrilla warfare. There's a call. In fact, this president, when he was coming in as part of his campaign agenda, was talking about amending the doctrine of the military in Nigeria. How will that change, and what will that? How will that change things? Let me have to put it that way.
Well, thank you very much. What excites me in the Tinubu presidency is, I think for the first time for a long time, we are seeing the political elected leaders immersing themselves in security affairs and talking about doctrine, about talking of security sector reform. Unless the small attempt during General Obasanjo's presidency and subcommittee sent by the last administration of President Muhammad Buhari, you can hardly see political leaders immersing themselves in issues of military doctrine and security sector reform. What does that show you? When you check other countries, you see when you talk about doctrine, it means a general precept of how the security agencies or the military are going to fight. It's a general area. And in arriving at that doctrine, it is not only a military or defense issue. There are economic issues, there are political issues, there are legal issues. So there are inputs from all these people. What we've been having in the past, you know, is when we're talking about doctrine. When you go to the Jaji, you go to NDC, these issues were saying that Nigerian armed forces was not organized to fight irregular warfare. It has been discussed. Thousands of papers have been written about that. But in concrete terms, what did we do to change our doctrine, to reform our armed forces and security forces, to face the kind of challenges we're having? Unfortunately, I have to say, on the ground, little has been done. We may have some books there or some books there, but in actual concrete terms, because when you say of doctrine, you are talking even about the roles of the armed forces. We have to look at it. You are looking about the size. You are looking about the shape and organization of the armed forces. You are looking about equipment. You are looking at all these things. And of course, it is also an issue of economy. What can the country afford? So I think I'm excited to hear the president have been counting. He has said this: we are going to reform doctrine, we are going to reform armed forces. I have counted 5 different times at different occasions he has said that. We hope he will put his word, he will put his money where his mouth is.
All right.
But what I want to say, it's a multi-stakeholder engagement. It is not only a military issue. That's what I want to say.
Okay.